Start this video off by saying I am not a medical expert. This is not medical advice. This is just my thoughts and opinions on things that are going on right now. We are starting to hear a lot about the bird flu, aren't we? You have some people thinking, well, that's going to be the next pandemic. That's what they're going to use to lock us down. That's what they're going to do to stop the election, so on and so forth, right? You get the whole realm of it, right? Everybody's thinking something about it. Now, y'all know me personally, I've been kind of sick over the past 2 to 3 weeks with stuffiness, throat hurting, couldn't talk, things like that. Well, we went to a cookout yesterday, and my mom, I was sitting there talking to her, and she'd been having the same symptoms. You know, she says she gets dizzy if she turns her head too fast or something. She said she went to the doctor. I said, well, what did the doctor tell you it was? She said that her doctor told her it's just some kind of new allergy that's going around. And they prescribed her to take 2 allergy medications, right? I said, well, did they test you for the bird flu? She said, no. I said, I'm starting to wonder because back at the first pandemic, everybody in my area got sick in December and January of 2019 going into 2020. They weren't testing for that pandemic that was going around right then, right? They weren't testing for it. But everybody was having all the same symptoms. Could this be another type of deal like that where, hey, you'll see a lot of YouTubers on here now that's complaining about stuffiness, coughing, sore throats and stuff, right? Now, it's very strange to me that it's going around that they're calling it, here in my area, the doctor told her it was just some kind of new allergy that's going around. Makes no sense, right? Could we already been exposed to the bird flu? Possibly. Who's to say in 3 or 4 months from now they don't bring it out and it rolls on like the first pandemic? I'm not talking about the lockdowns, but they start testing for it. If you have these symptoms, so on and so forth, right? Then they automatically test you for it. Right now, I'm hearing they already could possibly have a vaccine for it, right? That they kind of did some stuff to it to make it a little more contagious, and they made a vaccine for it a couple years ago. Well, a lot of people are afraid that they're going to, not afraid, but they're expecting. Let me say that. They're expecting that the government's going to use this to lock us down again, right? Number one, I'm going to tell you, I think the government will not lock us down like they tried to the first time. I've always told you, in my area, nobody was locked down. You was free to come and go. The only people that stayed home was school teachers and preachers. That was it. Everybody else was essential. You go store, whatever you want to do, right? Now, you went to the doctor's office, you had to sit outside or something like that, and they'd call you in. But you get what I'm saying. I personally know no area around me that was locked down where you could not leave your house, you know, that you didn't leave. But, you know, some people chose to do that. They chose to stay home. Some people chose to wear their mask. Some people chose, you know, do what they wanted to do about it. I don't think the government's going to try that again. Excuse me here. I don't think the government's going to try it again because it kind of went over a little easier the first time, but then when people started realizing, wait a minute, you know, then it started getting worse and worse. You know, you were allowed to protest outside, but then you couldn't go to a concert. We all know that type of stuff, right? Could this bird flu be serious? Yes, it could be. I always said the reason nobody was scared of the first pandemic we had a few years ago is it wasn't killing enough people. If more people were dying from it, and the ones, I'm going to make this clear, a lot of people say it didn't kill nobody or they died with it. Number one, I'm not a doctor or scientist, I can't explain that one. But me being a diabetic, if I was to die, they would say died from complications of diabetes, even though it was a heart attack that got me, right? Or a stroke. And nobody has a problem with that. They're like, yeah, the sugar got them, right? We call it the sugar here in the South. The sugar got them. To me, that was the same thing. You know, people was picking and choosing. I personally know people that died during during the pandemic. Some of them are as young as me, younger, and so on. You know, I'm not going to get into was it with it or because of it, but they had it and they died, right? Myself, I had it a total of 3 times. 3 times. I'm not vaccinated. You know, this new pandemic with them already having a vaccine, could they foresee this happening? Yeah, they could. If we could turn TV on one day and it's spreading everywhere. It supposedly has a higher mortality rate, you know. But Guys, I don't think they're going to use it as a weapon to lock us down, to keep us from voting or anything like that. You know, you keep hearing a lot of channels on here telling you that we're going to get locked down again. I don't think we're going to get locked down again. Now, I'm not saying some big city doesn't lock their little area down, and you know the type of cities I'm talking about. As far as the whole country locking down, no. They would have to institute martial law all over the United States to accomplish to lock down the whole country. And you understand that. If you're watching, you understand what I'm saying. But is it something to be scared of? Is the bird flu something to be scared of? I don't know. I wouldn't tell you to be scared of it, you know. I mean, we all know you wash your hands. You know you don't need that. Somebody to sit here and tell a grown person you need to wash your hands and stuff, right? I will tell you a story here, and some of you will probably tune out right now. We're at 6 minutes, and you'll tune out because I'm telling you a personal story that happened to me. 2017, 18, somewhere around in there. On my birthday, I wanted 100 hot wings. That's what I wanted. Everybody, what do you want for your birthday? I want 100 hot wings, and I want them. And some of you are going to make fun of this, but we had a local gas station that sells hot wings. They had a restaurant in it, and they made awesome hot wings. And they were 50 cents a piece. I still remember that. I got 100 hot wings for $50. Well, the kids came over, and we were all eating the hot wings. And there was a hot wing in the box that looked kind of funny. They dared me to eat it. Well, I ate it, and honestly, it tasted like pure cartilage. I didn't taste no meat or nothing, but I ate it, right? Your kids dared you, and you eat it. You know, my kids were teenagers then. So I ate it. I started feeling bad that night, and I hadn't drank or anything like that day. Well, the next day I got up, and I was just lugging, right? Like I had been drunk the day before is how it felt, like I had a hangover. I was working on a tiny house, and I'm up there trying to hang trim, and I can't do it. You know, I'm like, I'm so tired. I can't even pick my arms up to do this. Well, I go back and lay down in front of the couch. I laid down on the floor, and I fell asleep. I'm like, I'm not feeling good. And I just basically passed out, right? Got up, and I was sick, you know, both ends sick. Well, I let that go on for about a week to 10 days, and finally I was just continuously having the issues with it. Finally went to the doctor, and they done blood work. They took stool samples, urine samples, and the doctor said, we're not seeing nothing, but I'm going to run a bag of antibiotics through you. I said, okay. And I remember when they ran the antibiotics through me, boy, it hurt. If you've ever had antibiotics through IV, that stuff burns. Well, things go on. You know, I start feeling a little bit better. A couple more days go by. I go to the local Walmart. I'm standing in the parking lot, and I get a phone call from a number I've never seen before. It was the state health department. State health department, you know, they was asking me my name and how I was feeling and all this and that. And they asked me, how long did you stay in the hospital? I said they didn't. They just gave me the antibiotics and sent me home. She said, number one, you should have been hospitalized. She said, what you have is E. coli and salmonella. Is what your issues, what was in your blood work and your stool samples and all that. And she said, the CDC is going to call you after I hang up with you. I'm like, okay, great. You know, and the CDC, they call, and I answer the phone, and they're asking me where I'm at, and I'm telling them, you know, I'm starting to look around like maybe a van's fixing to pull up and yank me in the van and take me off somewhere. This is before the pandemic, years before. Well, she goes on to inform me that the strand of E. coli and salmonella that I had was only seen in Mexico. You can only catch this strand in Mexico. And we could not figure out how I got infected with it, right? It was very strange. You know, they just checked on me and said, are you feeling better? And I said, yes, you know, just normal stuff. It took me a couple of weeks to get over it, totally over it, you know, as far as the fatigue. Well, a couple months go by, 6-8 months go by. I wake up one morning and my left shoulder is just on fire. I can't move my arm. I'm like, what's going on here? Sick to my stomach, which could have been the anxiety from not being able to move my arm. And I laid back down, you know, during the day, and I took a nap. I woke up, my whole arm was black, like black and blue looking. So get took to the emergency room. They start running all kind of tests on me. They're running MRI, CT scans, blood work, everything. And they're like, we can't figure out what this is. So they said, well, I think we're going to admit you. Now, I'm still in the emergency room, but I'm in a private room. This hospital had like separate rooms, not a big emergency room. Well, 4 or 5 hours go by, I haven't been admitted. Well, finally, a doctor walks in with all the other doctors, and this doctor has on a white coat and he's carrying the black bag like the old timey doctors carried. And the doctor looked to be, 70, 80 year old. Well, he come in the room and he said, I know exactly what's wrong. Well, he introduced himself and told me he was from a big hospital in Atlanta that they had flew him, or he had come up there to see me. I'm like, oh crap. That immediately, I'm thinking, what's bad here? Something's bad if they're bringing in a surgeon or a specialist, whatever this dude is, right? He said, you're going to get mad at me? He said, but I know exactly what this is. I've seen it twice in all my times of being a doctor. I was like, immediately I'm thinking, something's bad wrong. He said, you have a brachial plexus injury, which is just this big wad of nerves in here, correct? It goes up in here. He said, you're going to be mad at me because there's no way we can fix it. He said, there's maybe 2 to 3 doctors in America that could fix this, and honestly, they're not around here and they're really expensive. And we got to talking. I said, what caused this? And he was looking through my blood work, my test and everything while he's sitting there. He said, months ago you had E. coli and salmonella. I said, yes, sir. He said, you got over it? I said, I reckon I did, I don't feel sick or tired or anything. He claimed that virus had hung out in my spinal fluid and had attacked the nerves in this area here and had actually ate through some of them. It was called, let me get this right, brachial plexus with avulsions is what they told me. I said, all right, well, what do we do about this? He said, there's nothing much we can do about it. It's either going to get better, it's going to stay the same, or it's going to get worse, right? I was like, okay, great. I got mad because I already have back issues, right, from my surgeries. And I'm like, this is just something else. To this day, this arm, I don't get much use out of it, right? If I do use it, it causes all type of pain up in my head and everything, but we get by with it. The point of this story is that, things happen that we can't control, right? I didn't know I was going to get sick from eating hot wings, right? I've ate them before. You come into contact with people everywhere you go. You may not come into physical contact by shaking their hand or hugging them or standing there talking to them, but you touch other stuff that they touch in a store, right? Now, like I said, I'm not a scientist, not a doctor. This is not medical advice, but you're going to get exposed to it if it's out there, pretty much, right? So don't be scared of it. I don't know how you would treat it. You know me, I've been just staying hydrated. That's about it. But I don't think I have it. But who's to say in a couple months from now that they come back and do, oh, yeah, it's out here and it's been here for a while, right? Just like the last pandemic. So, it's out there. Are they going to use it as a tool to control us again? I don't think so. I mean, you honestly think they're going to tell everybody to stay home, they're going to go back paying that unemployment? You remember how much they fought over that crap? They're not going to go through that again. But, it could be something or it could be nothing. I don't know. I'm not scared of it, but the way I'm seeing everybody around me here lately that's sick, that's got they're calling it allergy issues at the doctors. But yet, most of us has had allergies before, and if you haven't, consider yourself very lucky. I didn't have allergy problems till I turned 40 years old, and then all of a sudden, every spring I'd get stuffy, right? But this, what's going on now, and my mom I didn't tell her what my symptoms was, except for other just stuffiness. What we were having was, your ears are hurting, your jaws are hurting, you're stuffy, and it feels like something stuck up in the back of the top of your mouth that you just can't get out, like something swollen up in there. But, she's in her 70s. She's getting through it. I told her, I said, well, heck, taking 2, allergy pills, all you're going to do is knock yourself out. She said, I take them at night so I can sleep. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But, could it already be out here spreading? Very possibly. There has been a case here in America. It was somebody in Texas that caught it. And I believe that he said his only symptoms, from what I can find, was maybe red, itchy eyes and maybe a little bit of sinus congestion. But don't be afraid of it. Keep up with it now. Don't just ignore that it's out there. Don't think every time they talk about it that it's nothing. Pay attention to it and start watching if it starts coming around, and then take your own precautions or whatever you want to do about it, right? That's your choice. With them already making a vaccine for it, they could expect this thing to spread, Like I said, the first one, nobody's scared of it. Everybody wasn't afraid. Some people were scared of it. Everybody wasn't afraid because it wasn't killing enough people. I said that from day one. This one's supposed to have a higher mortality rate, right? And are they going to make you get an arm ticket? I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're going to make you get one. I'm going to sit here and tell you that I don't think they're going to lock you down or anything like that, or to use this to keep the election under control. I don't think that, because if they lock down America again, it would have to be full-on martial law. It would have to be. As wide open as our border is, you know all type of diseases are coming across that border. You know that. You don't need me to tell you that. There are all types of diseases coming across the border. And you're coming into contact with these whether you know it or not. You do not have to physically come in contact with these people, with this stuff, right? Somebody sneeze on something, you walk by, pick it up, look at it, set it down, and you do this. Well, you get what I'm saying. But guys, stay aware of it. And of course, let's try to get healthy now. Try to get healthy now. I always thought, with my diabetes just crazily out of control that I didn't know about until we finally went to the doctor, that if I caught something like it'd be really bad. And so far, knock on wood, I've been lucky. When I catch something, or if I cut myself, it heals up real well. I talked to my doctor about it. He said, well, your sugar like that, you shouldn't heal up at all. And I told him, I was like, I can get real deep cuts, bad cuts or something, and it'll fester up and go away. And I asked him, I said, how is this possible when my sugar is this high? He said, it's because, I don't know. He said, maybe you got Superman blood or something. I was like, I ain't got no Superman blood, but something ain't working out right here, right? But guys, there's the video. Wow, almost 17 minutes. If you're still watching this video this deep in, please have a safe Memorial Day weekend. Don't do nothing stupid. If you're going to be drinking, don't drive. Stay where you're at, or get somebody sober to bring you home. Do not drink and drive. We don't need to be doing that. No drinking and driving. Stay safe. Guys, enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. And remember, Memorial Day is for the soldiers that's fallen. Remember that. That's why we're allowed to do what we're doing right here, because they lost their lives protecting our freedoms. Remember that. Stay safe. Keep your head on a swivel. Be aware of your surroundings at all times. Protect yourself and your family at all times. At that moment, you could be the only person who can do it. Enjoy your weekend. Pay attention to this bird flu they're talking about. Don't panic over it. Just pay attention to it. And take precautions if you have to, if it does start spreading, right? Stay safe. Keep prepping.